All right, so we have a new update for Growthens APIs. If you don't know what Growthens API is, I will leave the link in the description. Please do explore it. And to explain it in a simple way, we have some of the PC API endpoints that you can use the API Connect, and we also have some of the API wrappers on top of other API endpoints. For example, we have API wrapper on top of Whisper API and ChatGPT, and we also have for LevelLabs, right? So. With the new update that we have for ChatGPT, we have updated with the Webhook URL option. We would be able to send a responses to the Webhook URL directly. With the current system, you would make a request and you would get the request ready, and you would need to have a delay. Plus, you would need to pull the database, right? So, which is simply not a practical way of doing it. But with the new update, we have a option to have the Webhook URL, which simply means that when you make a request, we would provide a request ID to you, and from our end, we would make a request to ChatGPT, wait for 2 minutes, and get the responses and store it in the database, and we also send the response to the Webhook URL, which simply means that you don't need to pull the database and add a delay here, right? So let me explain. In order to explain this better, I think if I show you in the workflow, it would be better. So we need to have two workflows. One is to make a request, one is to receive the response to the Webhook URL. So let me go with the ChatGPT to make a request. And I'm not going to explain the trigger part here because you would have a trigger already. And I would go with the actions. And please search for Growthens APIs. Select ChatGPT, make a completion request, and you would probably see two requests, one with the same name, right? Same name, right? One is the current system. This is the current system, and this is the new updated version. And you would probably, by the time you are watching this, you would probably see some sign to use the new updated version instead of using the older version. And if you look at the current system, we have three builds. One is to have API key, one is the model, one is the prompt, right? With this request, you would get a request ID, you would have to have a delay, plus you would need to pull the database. But with the new request, with the new API endpoints, you will have a new build called Webhook URL. And please note that this is the optional build. So if you don't have Webhook URL, you can skip this. But I would strongly recommend having the Webhook URL in order to get the instant response to your Webhook options and Webhook URL option, and you don't have to have a delay plus pulling the database. So let me try this, show you how this would work. I would select GPT-4 because I do have access to GPT-4. If you don't have a GPT-4 access, please select the GPT 3.5. I would need to create another flow in order to get the Webhook URL. In the trigger, search for Growthens APIs and select the ChatGPT. You would get a Webhook URL, which you can copy and paste it over here. So when I click on the send request, we get to take this entire data and make a request to ChatGPT. You still get the request ID. If you want to use the same workflow, you can still use the delay plus use this request ID to pull the database. But if you provided the Webhook URL, we would send the request to a response to this Webhook URL. So you would get the response instantly, and you don't need to have the delay. So you can see here. Let me check the request ID. This looks good. So, and this see the response, and I think this looks pretty good. And yeah, this is how it would work. So let me recap this again. With the current system, we don't have a Webhook URL option. In order to get the instant response to your request without having the delay plus pulling the database actions, which would take 2 more steps. But with the Webhook URL option, if you make a request, we would make a request to the ChatGPT and get the response and send the response directly to your Webhook URL, so you don't have to have a delay and pulling the database step, right? So with this, you would be able to split the current workflow and create a 2 workflows, which would allow you to use the responses instantly, so you don't have to worry about pulling the database and adding delay. I do hope that this video helps, and if you have questions, you can please let me know in the comments. And yes, and this can be confusing. I do understand that part, and certain terms that I would be using on this, I am using on this video, can be confusing. So please do let me know if you have questions in the comments. I'm more than happy to explain how this would work. If you prepare to if you have any questions to this in a specific, right? And yeah, that's all. I do hope that this video helps.